All right, welcome back. So last week got really busy and wasn't able to record a video like I wanted to. So we're gonna catch up here today. We talked about step 4 last week. Now, if you dove a little bit deeper and got into the portal, you would see the video of actual how I do it today, coming directly out of the book and writing inventory. I don't make it complicated at all. I'm not here to make things overly repetitive by any means. Like, I don't need a complicated worksheet that takes me 3 or 4 weeks to write this inventory out. The truth of the matter is like, dude, I'm broken, right? I come into this program, I'm broken. Life is absolutely terrible, and I'm not trying to rush it, but I'm not also trying to overcomplicate something that doesn't need to be complicated. And I think that inventory, there's a simplicity to it that works for every one of us. And if you like the complicated version, like I mentioned last time, fantastic. If you want to stick with extended, great. If you want to simplify it and come straight out of the book, which I don't see why we wouldn't do that in the first place. This is like something that we've stuck to for a long time. Then go back and make it simple. That video is posted in the portal if you have access to that. And again, keeping it simple. Like, what is the resentment? Who do I have it against? What idea is it? Why do I have it? I'm building a case against this people, places, or things, or ideas. How does it affect me simply? Like, can I just write that out to say, like, this bothers me because this makes me feel this way. And I think this, because again, I'm challenging my belief systems in this. And then can I turn the page and see the realization of like where I have created some of the, delusion through the resentment, and maybe how I've treated this person. And the goal is to understand that a lot of the times I continue to show up the same in life towards resentments and people and places and things. And I bring all of my belief systems and ideas that need to be challenged. And I need to be able to look through that delusion and see some realization in that. And so check out that video that's in the portal if you have access to it. And then we'll march on. We're going to talk about some step 5 stuff today. Listen, it's like step 5 is the spiritual principle of integrity. And I love talking about that because I feel like most of us addicts, alcoholics, people with behavioral things that drive us to find a solution in the bottom of a bottle that makes us, disconnect from society and the people that we love. And it makes us feel like we are total outcasts in a way, and we never find connection with people at all. The only thing that makes us feel normal or okay with ourselves is if we take a drink or do some sort of drug. And so when I say that to say that integrity is something that I do not live with very much in my life. I did not, right? At all. And I like to look at integrity as like, that's the voice that's within inside my head. That's I spend more time with this guy, and you spend more time with the person that you are, he, she, whatever. And that's where we got to go to work on, okay? And that's where we can bring in the 4 agreements process of being impeccable with my word, the internal value that I put on myself. Because when we talk about step 5, we're going to talk about ego, and we're going to talk about integrity, and we're going to talk about how in my life, I was way more concerned with reputation than integrity any single day of the week. I care so much about what other people think about me that it creates a stage character no matter where I go, because I need to fit in and I need to be liked. It's an act of it's a chameleon. I'm very good at that. I can adapt to any environment. And in the process of that, I continue to get lost. I can't ever find the word to describe of who is actually Jay, because I have tried to take a piece of everything to be able to adapt to the new environment that I step myself into. I have put so much value, right, over this time prior to being sober, into reputation, to where integrity doesn't matter anymore. And I actually don't stand on very much principle, and I don't stand on anything of like true value. And I get real conflicted in that process. So we've made it through 4, and we've talked about courage and what that looks like, and not convenient courage, actual courage. And I think it's a fantastic segue to start talking about integrity, because integrity is that thing, of course, like the old saying is it's what's happening when no one's looking. How is that going? But even more so, it's like when I know this thing between wrong and right, and hopefully from working the step processes, you're starting to get what we call like the God consciousness piece. And it's just the true value of like, this is wrong and this is right, and that's the truth of it. It's like, I got to be really careful when I start to mix the gray, because we can sit there and justify that all day in any profession and anything that we do. It's like, well, the world is gray, right? There is no necessarily black and white, and we have to learn to live in the gray. And I'll challenge that for sure. I do think there's areas in life that the gray does exist to an extent, and the justification is, are we helping this person out or not, or whatever that is that goes on in your head that we can run amok. And the truth is, with how we live, I need perspective on that no matter what. And I need to start looking at the integrity with when I'm working with an individual, when I'm trying to help someone out, when I'm trying to be a good father or a good friend or a good brother or a good cousin or whatever it may be, right? Am I sticking to the values of being just like that centered, going back to how I started this entire process was one goal, right? I just want to be a good person, okay? And am I putting myself before the people in front of me in order to get something back for me to make me look better? And if that's the case, then I'm not standing on any form of integrity at all. I know today that when I go work with someone, when I show up for someone's family, when I'm sitting down with a guy or a sponsee or whatever else, that I'm going to give them my 110%. I can stand on that. And the reason I can stand on that is because the way that I'm living my life today, my integrity is intact. Okay, 100% that it is. I know I show up with, and I know I give my best, and I know I'm going to lead with honesty, and I know I'm going to have an internal struggle if I cannot do that. And then I'm going to get perspective on what that looks like. I know that for sure. My integrity is intact. But again, how much have I allowed my placing value on reputation in my life to push out the value of the integrity piece? At the end of the day, will I crumble to the reputation? Am I going to fold because I know that I'm going out on a risk here and I'm being launched out into fear and I'm having to overcome things that's not convenient courage because it seems like I'm swimming upstream, but am I going to stand on that? Do I know that I wake up every single day and I give my absolute best and I show up on time and I'm impeccable with my word and I'm punctual in the things that I am? Because behaviors of addicts and alcoholics, if your behaviors are still looking the same and your character defects are continuing to follow you into life and you can't be on time and you don't call people back when you say you're going to call them back and you're late to meetings or you're pushing those things off, then the only thing that's different in your life today than it was before is you're not shooting dope and the unmanageability and the powerless looks different, but you are still powerless with how you show up to life. That has to change. I need to be on time. I need to be punctual. I need to follow through with my word. I need to be an upstanding friend, a person of value in order to hold space absolutely properly. Or again, am I going to fade away and show up to the meetings that are convenient for me, that allow me to get something out of it on time? Am I going to continue to build a stage character around how I need the world to see me? Because it's very confusing and we get really, really caught up with this idea like, okay, yes, the goal is to stop doing drugs. The goal is to stop drinking alcohol for sure. But that's not the end. That's the beginning. As a matter of fact, that's probably the easy part when it comes to it. The hard part is continuing to show up and to be a better person in general, to be a person of, like I've talked many times, of compassion, of courage, of kindness, to be a good friend, to show up and to speak positivity into people's lives and to show up again on time and to call that mom when you say you're going to call her and to call your dad when you say, and if you say you're going to be there for whatever day it is, whether it's Father's Day or Thanksgiving or whatever, you show up and you're there and you're present in people's lives. If that's not changing, if we're not becoming better human beings and we're only grabbing onto the fact that we just don't do drugs or drink alcohol and destroy our families that way anymore, then we're dead. We are not growing. We are going absolutely backwards. The only thing that's different is our solution has changed. It's not a drink anymore. It's not a drug anymore, but it's turned into something else. How many times have you seen addiction and the behaviors around it morph itself into something else, right? Greed, lust, love, relationships. We're good at that. It just changes its vision. It's cunning, it's baffling, and it's powerful. Our major changes have to become totally psychic, right? We need something revolutionary that changes our world, but where it's like, you know, when he tells me that, when an addict alcoholic comes to me and tells me that, I believe him now because they're consistent and they show up time and time and time again. And the only thing is if they didn't show up today, I know something definitely was wrong. And it's not just the behavior, because they've been so consistent. Their integrity today means a lot to them, and they place a lot of value in that over their reputation. Now, don't get me wrong. It does feel nice to have a good reputation. And boy, when reputation and integrity line up together, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a trudge probably to get there, for sure. And you're going to have to fight through some courage, and you're going to have to stand on your integrity for a really long time to do some consistency, because here's the truth. And I sit with it too. This mouthpiece thing that we all have, master manipulators that we can be, gaslighters and some of the best in the entire world, right? That piece right there has to stop. It's not going to be the thing that's going to be able to carry us through anymore, because it's totally written in defect. There has to be some action behind that. And my point in saying that is, like, the feet have to start doing the talking, and there has to become a long time of consistency in there. The book tells us it tells us that not only are we going to trudge this way, but we have a long road of reconstruction ahead of us. And what I've done in my past, in 10, 12, 13 years of being in active addiction and all the negative behaviors that come with it, and even some of the growth of just being a child and having to learn and to grow up and to accept some wisdom, right? I can't expect that all of a sudden, because I get sober for a little bit, and I feel like my integrity starts becoming intact, and I'm getting a little bit of good reputation, I'm starting to be a good friend, that automatically cancels out 12 or 13 years of acts of absolutely unmanageability and disaster. And look at me, I'm sober now. I've been sober for whatever long it is that you have been, and you should look at me a different way. You're going to have to lean on your own integrity, knowing that you're getting up, doing the right things, and starting to participate to be a really good human being, a really good father, doing the little things that you haven't done before, putting other people before ourselves, because as we know, selfishness and self-centeredness, we do know that is the root of our troubles. Step 5 is interesting. It's the integrity piece, because even if you look at it as in religious standpoints from way back when, all over the world, psychiatrists and philosophers have always said, and you can go back and look at this, that it's a good idea. The natural human wants to be able to get rid of things, right? To get things off of our chest, to be able to find some type of common ground, to trust in another human being, to tell them all the things that are within me defective character-wise. Well, I get all this inventory, of course, and then now it's time for me to go sit down with someone who I give spiritual permission to listen to these things. I draw a huge, crazy chaos in my head, like this dude, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got to read all this. I got to tell them all my resentments, all my fears, all these things that I've done. And they're going to tell me some, perspective back. And I can't believe I'm going to blow their minds. I've never seen anyone as crazy or wild as me. And the truth of the matter is I've never seen it happen that way, right? Very often what we find is after we come and sit down and read this inventory process to another human that we give permission, there's none of this that's like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you did that. Normally it's like, okay, on to the next, because I've heard this. Not only have I heard it, I've done it myself, and you're not unique in this process, right? And then it's kind of like a sigh of relief, like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. That feeling. It's like I'm not on this island that I have put myself on over and over again, and like I'm the worst person in the world. I've done these terrible, terrible things, and we all have in some form or fashion. We all have, and we're way more similar than we are different, and that's what you get to find along this path. And so the 5th step of integrity is knowing that I'm going to sit down, I'm going to follow through with what I did and what I said I was going to do. I've done all this work within inventory. Now I'm going to get it out. I'm going to push this away. And I always talk about how the power of choice has been taken away from the alcoholic or addict, for sure. It's weird on the outside of a perspective to look in and be like, something different about this person. When they drink or when they use, they absolutely cannot stop. And you're like, man, I can go and get on the tailgate and have a couple beers and go home, eat dinner, go to bed and do it all, wake up at 5 a.m. and not think about it again until maybe the next time that happens. It's just different for us in that whole aspect. And so we have to be diligent. We have to understand that we're starting to fight a battle, and we need the help and perspective of other people. And so that's why I'm going to sit down and have this, true trusting process in another person to give me some perspective and to learn that I'm not alone in all of this. And I think that's an important step that we do, because the power of choice, like I'm alluding to here, is something that we don't have. when we put it in our body. And it's been very obvious. And if you look at it, you're like, this is just a bad person. They can't stop. Why would they do that to their families? Because no normal person, not even the addict or alcoholic, wants to do those things. I can guarantee you that. The way out just doesn't seem feasible at all. And my point in to say, like, I do believe that the power of choice does return. I'm not saying the power of choice returns on whether, if I put in my body, whether to stop or not. But I do say, and I think this is important, is that the power of choice returns within me being an honest person. After I've read all these things and I've gotten absolutely everything out, and I find that I am not terminally unique in any form or fashion, that other people are sitting here with me that have trudged this road in front of me, and it gets to help me have that faith where I can peer around the corner a little bit, and that's kind of exciting and nice. And I get back some character defects, but I also get back a list of assets that they possibly see in me, and it becomes like a really beautiful thing. And all of a sudden I have this option and this choice to be an honest person again. Leaving that fifth step, I can choose from now on, when someone comes in my path, when I'm being taught or struggle with something internally, I have the choice to be emotionally transparent and authentic and genuine and honest moving forward into my life, no matter what that looks like. And the truth is you're going to march forward and you're going to lose people along that process because they're not going to be on the same wavelength as you. They're not going to be able to be honest when it comes down to it. They're not going to be able to truly tell you how they're feeling, and that's okay if they're not there yet. But I'm telling you, it is important, and it is something that you're going to have to learn how to do, is be a emotionally transparent, honest person, because that dishonesty is what will always kick us back and get us in trouble. It will always try to separate myself from who I truly am, and I will look up and I have 4 different versions of myself operating in this world. And how chaotic is it, again, to try to have to remember all the lies that I told just to be falling back into character defect. I'm back into chameleon mode, and I need all these people to like me, and it's all based in some sort of fear. And the way that we can trumple that is to be honest. And it's going to take some courage, like in step 4. And I'm going to have to really hone in on myself to have some integrity in my life to be this person. And I'm going to have to be okay with understanding that these people that I've met along the process may not be meant for my wavelength in my life for the future of it, but the true people and the right people will come along. But I know for myself, the selfish piece of this program is going to have to be me attaching myself, of course, to integrity and absolutely hope. And for sure, you bet your ass it's got to have some courage in there. But more than anything in the world, it's got to be led with honesty. And I have to invite you into my world, and I have to lead that way. And I have to understand that this life of alcoholism or drug addiction can be an asset. It doesn't always have to be a liability.